Good afternoon. Hello and welcome. That 3:30 crept up on me pretty quick. I thought I had a little bit more time to straighten up my mess and get going today. So, welcome to Pat's Stampin' Place. And oh, there's where that went. It was a gem that just kind of flew away last week. Okay. So you have arrived at Monday. This is Easter Monday, a typical day. Some people have the day off. Schools in my area are closed this week. Hello, Sue. Hello, Shirley. Welcome. So I'm going to jump right in. If you saw the preview, and I did get a thumbnail scheduled for today. I was a little bit ahead of the game on that because I was making some samples this morning. I did have a happy Easter, Rose. Thank you. It turned out to be a lovely day, a little chilly, but it was actually beautiful. So if you saw the thumbnail that I showed to get ready for the video, can't promise that I'll always have that available, but it did ask for it. And this is the color. Okay, let's just go down to my desktop here. Okay, this is the sample that I made with all of the in colors, and then I ran it through one of my favorite embossing folders, cut out just a die in the center, and then popped it right back in order to just give it some dimension. And then I'm going to tell you what this is with this new stamps and die set. And so let's just jump in and enjoy. I cannot show you the new catalog yet. We are waiting until May 6th, I think it is. Doesn't actually have the date back here. Sue and Rose, did you get yours yet? I know I sent you one. And I've had notice from a couple others that they got theirs. I send myself one, so I got it already. So if you haven't yet, let me know. So anyway, this is a new catalog. Can't show you the inside. That's always our rule until it actually goes live. But of course, if you have your very own, you can look through it. So these are the new in colors. A little bit different than the ones that we have this year. We have a returning color, Strawberry Slush. Good. Rose, did you get yours? So we have Strawberry Slush, Darling Duckling, which is a little bit more subdued, I guess, than Daffodil Delight. I believe I sent her one this year, Rose, but I will look, and I'm pretty sure I did. Mail might be a little bit slower if she's out in Uniontown. I'll tell you a story about some other mail here in a minute. So here's the duckling. I'm going to use this in a minute. And we have Timid Tiger, and that's a pretty orange, a whole lot different than Pumpkin Pie and the other oranges that we have. This is Secret Sea, and it is a very, very deep blue. And I'll show you the samples that I made before I do the card that I'm going to make today. I really, really like this one. And excuse me. And then last is Cloud Cover. Cloud Cover, something happened with the ink pad and the formulation of the ink, and it's not ready to be released yet. I think it was for people who went to an event, and then they had to pull it because there were some concerns with it. So I've used it with the markers. I was able to get the markers on my pre-order, and so I will show you how you can do that too. So right now, that's all I have is the paper and the marker set. And I really like that color. I think it will be very popular, and it's a great color even if we don't, for some reason, ever get the ink pad. One year that happened, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, lost track of time, and it never did meet the qualifications for what they wanted, and I don't think we ever got it. I really don't remember the name of it, which is probably a good thing. So let's put these away. I'm really glad that Strawberry Slush is back. It's a great pink that is a little bit brighter one than our Pretty in Pink, which is an in color also. But these will be around for 2 years through 2027. So there's what we have. I made these cards. And here is, I used this block, stamped, and then went over it with the stamps that I'm going to use today, Spotlight on Nature, and made up a whole set of these in the different colors. So this one is the, I'm learning them, Darling Duckling. These are kind of tongue twisters too. And here is that new thing I'll tell you about. Okay, here is Timid Tiger. Here is Secret Sea. Now on this one, this was so dark and I couldn't get the flower to go over it, so this is stamped off. The others are full strength, but this one is stamped off. And all of these sentiments then come from this new Stampin' die set. Okay, here's another one. This is the cloud cover. And what I did was to take the marker. It's very light, but I did the marker on this particular block. This is block, I don't know where I can see those anymore. Block H. And then I did some heavy breathing on it to get that, and I really like the way it turned out, actually. And then this is the Strawberry Slush. And some of them didn't come out quite as nice as I thought, but I thought, it works. It works. So there is a series of all 5 of the new in colors. Yeah, you can take any of your blocks and stamp them in your ink. I do recommend make sure you clean them off really well, because I get, little bits of glue on there and stuff. So I had to really clean that off, because anything that's on there is going to actually show up on your paper. So yeah, use your blocks. So those were fun. And then of course this one that I showed you at the beginning has all the colors on there, and I also use the marker to get the cloud cover on that too. And you just, on an ink, or excuse me, on a stamp, you just have to do the huffing on it, or heavy breathing if you want to call it that, and go from there. And then this one, this actually looks better once it gets dried. This little Darling Duckling looks to be a pretty nice yellow. It kind of threw me a little bit at the beginning because it looked like something else. But anyway, now let me talk about more messages. We had something similar to this a while back. Again, I don't remember the name of it, but it's gone. And this is a large background stamp. Okay, called More Messages. And I do like the sentiments in this. And these are the ones that I used on all of those cards, every one of them. And then this is the die that goes over that. Once you stamp that, I don't know if that fits exactly because this is to 90%. So it's not exact on here. it is on here, of course. It would be on here. But anyway, I did use my stamp positioning tool because I wanted to get good crisp image on all of these and stamp them out. I also made a template, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then I ran those through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I did Versamark and then white embossed. So I have a whole bunch of black ones in the white embossing. I did, that one cut off a little bit. I did the Secret Sea, and then I did the Strawberry Slush. And I'm just gonna, you know, as I have time, do those. I think it's storming out again. So these are, I think they're great. I mean, granted, there are some things in here that I might not use, but that's okay. I mean, I do have little grandkids I could send. You can do anything. So I'll make use of those. But you can just make yourself a template, and I'll probably end up running this through my laminating machine and save this as a template to go through some other stamp sets, and I just have a couple sitting here, and see what actually fits. And if it doesn't say otherwise on the front of your stamp set, these are at 100%. Sometimes they do change them and move them down a little bit. So Dear Friend would go there. And that way you can just run a bunch of blanks through and then stamp whatever sentiment that you want to use. Dear Friend looks good in that little oval as well. Now here's one, the stamp set called You Are Remarkable. This one is reduced down to 80% on here. So if I try to make sure that that one will fit, I might be a little bit surprised when it comes time to actually stamp on it. So you just need to be careful with what shows on the front of your stamp set. But I really do like it, and I like the shapes. I like the shapes on this. Ovals and those kinds of things are really in nowadays. So that is fun. Okay, here's another set. I'll probably use this one next week. I didn't get all of my ideas for this one, but it's called Impressions of Bloom. The paper is awesome. But this one has thanks. So you could have thanks in there. And then you have so very much. I don't know if you can see with my lighting. Thanks so very much. Thanks for being there. I don't think the I appreciate you fits there. So that also has possibilities to use with this die set called More Messages. You might want to put that on your little wish list. Okay, let's make something. Okay, the samples that I made and just showed you were all made with Spotlight on Nature. And it is staying around. And I think some of these that I'm showing you are in the online exclusive category. But don't let that deter you just because it's not in a publication that is in print. So don't worry about that. And I really do need to mark my stamp sets because I forget from one to the other whether it was online or in the catalog, as I'm still learning the new catalog as well. Okay, let's make something. And I'm going to use Secret C, and at this point, probably my least favorite is the Darling Duckling. I don't know why, but I'm going to use it. This time around, we don't have a green, but I'm going to just use the colors that we have with our in colors right now. So I hope you all had a wonderful Easter, or however you might have celebrated. And Easter's so late this year, I can't believe that we've got May coming up pretty soon. So it's going to happen. All right, I am going to use a piece of Very Vanilla, and I have an 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. And I have a piece of vanilla that is 4 by 5. Excuse me, 4 by 5 1/4. Let me grab some water. There we go. And I have a circle that I die cut out of Stylish Shapes. This is the second from the largest. So I'm going to use that as a template on here. And then I'm going to use this floral design here as well. But I'm also going to run it through the embossing folder that I just love. Okay, so that's just a spare piece there. So I'm going to, let's see, let's start with the Darling Duckling. And I haven't made this card yet, it's just in my brain. I've made it in other colors on something else, but with different colors. So I'm going to see if this works. So I've got a couple blending brushes out. And I kind of want this down here. So we're going to see if this looks as good as the other card that I made. Keeping in mind that we have 2 sides to this paper. If I don't like the way it looks, I'll turn it over. But I do want this to be very light. I'm going to make sure that there's no other color on this one that I have designated for yellow. So let's tap that on there, see what we get. These stamp pads are pretty juicy. I just opened them this morning. So if you get that ink off, you can always add more, but once it's on there, you can't take it away. So let's add this. And this looks good on the vanilla. So I'm going to kind of make it a little bit of an ombre. Let's zoom in a little bit. Maybe move this up and I'll line it up again. So I'll make it a little bit darker here and then a little bit lighter up there. Okay. So that's what we have so far. Left a little bit of white in the center. I'm going to overlap this a little bit and use the Secret C. Now this is very, very dark. So I don't know, we'll see if my thought process works out. So I've got a blue, and I've gotten most of that blue off of there that was on from something else. So let's tap, tap, tap. get some of that off. A lot of it off, actually. And put the darker part down here. Now, in the color world, blue and yellow make green, so that has a little bit of a green tinge there. So that's what we have so far. And I think because this is so dark, rather than use black, which brings me back to this card again. A lot of times you don't want to mix black with blue. I do a lot. I'll wear like a denim color with black, but this dark here, when I put the black with it, actually looks pretty good. But I don't know that I would mix that a whole lot. That's why I wanted all those cards to be the same. So I still outlined with a small outline of black around there, rather than pull in another color, because I wanted to see what it was going to look like. So it ended up being okay. So instead of using Memento, as I did on those other cards, I'm going to go ahead and use the Secret C. I'll get him learned. And kind of put that in here. And that looks really, really pretty. It didn't pick up enough with the blue and the yellow to make a dark green, but you can tell that there's a different color there when those two overlapped. And then I'm going to run it through the embossing folder, but before I do that, let me see. These were in white. So I'm not sure I want to use white with the vanilla, although I could. Because I see that overlapped a little bit. I think what I'll do, though, is just use the thanks from the Spotlight on Nature stamp set. So that tells me I need to use make some vanilla out of that die set. More messages. Okay, so I'm going to stamp thanks. I like the combination too. I'm happy with it. Now let's see if I can get this straight. I'm actually going to turn this on its side. And I want that to overlap into the yellow a little bit. Woo! I got it. It's crooked. It's crooked. Let me think. I could use the white. Or that's not big enough to cover that up. Oh, the decisions, the decisions. I'm going to use the white just to be different. But I'm going to step away and run this through an embossing folder, and then I'll finish it up. My favorite embossing folder. And it is, I'll show it to you before I run it through. And this is the reason I'm picking up the circles. And it is this one with all of those circles. This is one of the big stamp sets. You think the black would look, I could put the black on there because I'm not actually going to do that. So let's run this through there. The black might be good, Rose. I think I'll try that. Okay, so that's that. Let's get a black one out. I like that time to celebrate too. You know what? I think you're right. Because it has the white embossing, but that's okay. Yes. Oh, this one, the Spotlight on Nature. I believe that one, let me see. You know, when we've got, this is the confusing time of the year because we have a last chance list, which means it's retiring. We also have things that are carrying over into online exclusives. Okay, it is not in the mini catalog. And I know that it is going to be available, so it probably is in the online exclusives. So if you think it's confusing for customers, it's confusing for demonstrators too. Yes, it is. Okay, I'm going to use the black, and I'm going to grab a piece of the Secret C. Hi, Diva, welcome. And that was 5, and it's not 5 3/8. It's a little line between there. Oh my goodness. Gonna be just a tinge around there. Oh my goodness. That's my math. Let's see if that's even going to make any difference. Oh, that's perfect. Yes. Okay. So this is what we've got. And that's going to go on a piece of Very Vanilla. Just a tinge is showing up there. But I love that embossing folder. I don't know, I love it. So we're going to put that on our Secret C. And I always like to use liquid adhesive on an embossing folder because you get that ink to get down there in the cracks and crevices and make sure that it's actually going to stick. And then there's just a little bit that shows. It does. I was thinking about whether or not to actually do that. I'll show you my little prototype here that I made a couple weeks ago. Okay, have you ever put a card on upside down? I've done that. Okay, there's just like a 1/16 of an inch showing there. Just a tinge. And I actually got it on straight. Okay, and then to cover up that thanks that is crooked, we'll do Time to Celebrate. Grab a dimensional here down to the end on this one. So let's cut it up into little pieces. I could put a bow behind there, but I think I'm going to just leave it simple like that. I like that. But we will add some bling. And I'm into using the rhinestones, the rhinestone basic jewels. Okay, and let's put one there on that little dot. This is a good place to use the big ones. One here. I kind of like to keep things in a triangle. And we'll put one down here closer to the sentiment. Okay, this was my original card that I made a couple weeks ago, and I truly don't remember which colors I used. I think this was Balmy Blue. And that might have been Crushed Curry. And that picked up a little bit more of the green here in the center. And then here we have this. That actually came out crooked too. That's why I need to start using the stamp positioner more. But I do like this. I like that much better than the white. So, do you agree? I do. I like that. Because this is so dark. We know it's blue, but it does match that very, very well. In fact, I'm not sure what I'll put over that. We'll do something else. But anyway, that is our card for the day. And I'm sure I'll have a lot more of these done the next time. I'll be saving this template because I like this card design. And if you don't have stylish shapes or a large circle punch, you could use a large circle punch. Just make a circle and you're good to go. But that embossing folder is really a good one to have. So these are our colors again. Strawberry Slush, Timid Tiger, Darling Duckling. There's the cloud cover, the one that we don't have the ink pad for yet, but we'll make it work. And Secret Sea. Starting to storm there. Yeah, they said there were storms on the way. So I don't know if it's coming your direction or going your direction or coming my direction. But they got my lawn mowed this afternoon early. So there we go. I'll have something special to show you next week. And have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the good weather. I think the thoughts of snow are gone. So get out there and enjoy it when you can. So take care. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.